Does this all have to do with the continued investment in shortening delivery times, warehouses, logistics, et cetera?
I think that's a big part of it, and obviously they talked about the $800 million commitment for the quarter, so we knew that that was going to weigh on earnings. But I think AWS is the bigger story here. We saw that decline to 37% growth. First time we saw that dip below 40%, and given how much that contributes to operating profit, I think that is maybe potentially the canary in the coal mine. It could also just be a one-quarter blip here, but that's something that I think is maybe a little bit more concerning to investors as we go forward.
Jitendra, would you agree?
Yeah, so AWS numbers were the weaker part, but we are forgetting how good the revenue beat was. So the spending that they're doing, one-day shipping is expensive, but it is showing signs of payoff. With AWS margins actually coming a little bit weaker, that is one concern over there. Is it because of international expansion, or is this competition? We think it's more about the expansion part. But actually, if you look at their cost structure this quarter, marketing costs really jumped quite a bit, 48%. That's highest we have seen growth in a good 7 years, really. So they're spending a lot more in marketing as well. So
they break down marketing? Is it marketing for AWS?
They give you a breakdown of advertising portion, not in the quarterlies, in the main filings. But and Amazon spends like more than $8 billion. They spent more than $8 billion last year in advertising and promotional activities. But that growth is something to think about. Like, is this marketing going in terms of one-day shipping? Is it Prime Day related, or is it like, are they trying to sort of fight back here?
Andrew, it's interesting singling out AWS, given that we were just talking earlier about Google's cloud business and how it is still in third place, though the cloud business in general is continuing to grow, and it's certainly not a zero-sum game. But what do you think the slowdown or the disappointing numbers have to do with? Is it because of competition, or is it because of Amazon-specific issues?
I don't think it's Amazon-specific issues so much as it's really the competition. I mean, Microsoft's cloud business is up over 60% recently, so we know that business is on fire. But I think the stalking horse here is Google. I mean, we don't have a lot of visibility into those numbers, but you do hear that under new leadership, there's some signs of life here. So if that becomes a really strong third player, now Amazon's competing with two giants. I think that absolutely can eat into that top line going forward.
What about Amazon's advertising business, Jitendra, which has been slowly growing, slowly becoming a third place contender to Google and Facebook in the digital ad market, and it has widely been acknowledged as one of the biggest threats to Google, and perhaps a bigger threat long term than Facebook?
Yes, so the growth has been consistent this quarter compared to last quarter. Obviously, the numbers look a little low because of that accounting change issue that they had last year. But now Amazon's going to get more aggressively into video advertising. They have all these devices out there, and you're going to see them push harder. The interesting thing over here is we thought advertising boom could offset some of the shipping costs, but clearly it's more expensive to ship faster. So that'll be sort of a near-term overhang on profits. But as far as they're showing that it works and it's not structural, the profit growth story will resume.
So let's talk about what's going to happen in the second half of the year. We're listening in on the earnings call right now, and the CFO, Brian Olsavsky, said the company did spend more than what they had said they would, $800 million, on the same-day delivery initiative, and that it's been more difficult to execute than expected. I can sort of echo that as a customer. When I've tried same-day delivery on Amazon, it often doesn't work out. Andrew, what are you going to be watching there?
Yeah, well, so the top line growth was really driven by the commerce business, and usually, I mean, really what I was expecting is to see that investment start to pay off in Q3 and really in Q4. So if we're already seeing an acceleration in Q2, we could really be looking ahead to just an explosive Q4 for Amazon, because consumers have to develop the habit, and that habit, they're not really feeling the impact of that one-day delivery, especially as it continues rolling out. Those habits will get ingrained, in Q3 and then really cement themselves in Q4. So I think that's where we'll really see the upside there.